Hi, everybody. This is Lisa Condon, and I am coming back to you with another phenomenal author for Stepping into Gratitude. I am so happy to be here with this incredible woman whom I have known longer than I actually want to admit to anybody, which means we met like when we were born or in kindergarten, right, Nicole? So,
Yeah,
so Nicole, I would love for you to introduce yourself to the listeners and to the audience today, please.
great. I would love to do that. Lisa, it's so good to be here with you. Hi, I'm Nicole DeFeo, and I am the International Executive Director of Delta Phi Epsilon. I am a mom of three fantastic kids, and I live in New Jersey, which is how Lisa and I met in college.
Yes, we did. Like I said, it was like 2 weeks ago. Too funny.
Or less.
So, Nicole, again, I'm really excited that you decided to be part of this project because you've had a huge life journey in general, and you've had ebbs and flows to that life journey, one of which you write in your chapter in this book. But I really want to know from you what made you decide to come along for this ride and be part of this project.
I think that that is a great question. What brought me into this originally was the idea that we could share our journeys more broadly as a collective. I toyed with the idea of writing my story alone for a number of years, and it just never felt whole to me. It always felt like this is one woman perspective. And as a compilation book, this opportunity to share so that you can see, so the reader can see how things are woven together and how, while my journey may be one with leukemia, another person's journey may have been with something completely outside of the health realm, but there are similarities there and there are core truths there. And I think that that is the key to why I stepped forward for this opportunity versus perhaps doing something on my own or with another group. The other piece of it for me was that your involvement in this was very important to me. I believe in if you were walk that path, which I believe you authentically do, you will bring out the best in the authors that are with you because you understand it at a very deep level. So that's why this book at this time with these people.
Nicole, I appreciate that, and I really love the conversation about connection. And one of the things that I've seen with the conversations with the authors and allowing all of you to meet each other is that although your journeys are different, there really are just those seeds of connection, which then ultimately spread those seeds of gratitude in various ways. And that's been really beautiful to watch and see and watch the relationships build as well, based on this foundation of gratitude. How amazing is that? So that's fantastic. So we've talked about that it's a compilation book and that each author has a chapter. For you, how has writing your chapter impacted you?
I think the word that I use often when people ask me about this is it's cathartic. It was very freeing to be able to share my story in a very from a very real place and from my heart. And it has kind of brought me back to gratitude, right? Like I wrote it and now it's out there in the ether, not yet in stores, but coming soon, right? And I think for me, that is it's freeing. It's freed me from the burden of so one of the things that I believe, and I think I'll talk a little bit more about this later in our conversation when we get to that to gratitude pieces, which I'm sure you're going to ask me about how I practice gratitude and that type of thing.
I might.
I believe, you might ask me that question. I believe that there is definitely a core piece of gratitude is people and connecting people and how people connect with one another and experiences that you have with other people. And so my and then also looking at your journey and taking the life lesson from the journey helps me to be in gratitude of the experience, even when the experience is horrific, which my experience, as you will find out when you read the book, is. So I was dogged by this notion of the lesson that you are to learn here is to share even the tough stuff, right, with the world. And the fact that I wasn't doing that was dogging me, was
Mhm.
dogging me. And so now I feel free. I've done what I was supposed to do with this part of my life and this experience.
Ooh, okay. I don't know.
Heavy, I know.
I literally chills like when you said that because it's such a freeing, oh wow. It is such a freeing experience when you just know it's the right thing and you breathe differently. And
Yeah.
so I love that. And you're mentioning a few things too that bring me to something that I think is incredibly important. And it's the fact that we're all different and yet connected, which means that we all see gratitude differently. We all experience gratitude differently. We practice it differently, all of those things. But to me, I think it all stems in the foundation of how we define gratitude for ourselves. So, how do you define gratitude, Nicole?
So for me, it is this like appreciation. It's an appreciation for the experiences that I have with other people, as I kind of said, right? Like it's this just kindness and positive experiences that I have with others that then bring me a thankfulness for what I have and who I am and the blessings in my life. And it's like this allows me to have a conscious savoring of everything. And I think that it's all the people wound together in my life that really bring forward the blessings. And for me, it's then noticing them and checking my inner self and saying, how do I feel about this? And what's the positive here? And then how can I reflect that back in my relationships with other people?
Mm,
And that's
okay. You just said
kind of how
conscious savoring. I am going to, like, that's so meaty. I love that conscious savoring. If nothing else, write that down. Beautiful.
yeah.
So now I'm going to get to the question that you knew I was going to get to because when you talk about gratitude and when people truly are grateful, and you talked at the beginning about people who walk the walk and not just saying the words, but actually living a life that is steeped in gratitude, there has to be some type of practice around that. And everybody's practices look very different based on their definition, based on how they choose to experience gratitude. So, what does your daily gratitude practice look like, Nicole?
I'm so glad you asked that question because I think that is the question. When I tell people, oh, I practice conscious gratitude, the immediate next question is, well, how? What are you talking about? And a lot of people go into this like, oh, that's so woo woo of you. And I, if you know me, you know I'm not a woo woo person, right? I'm not warm and fuzzy all the time. I often have some rough edges, and I talk about that in the book. How those rough edges soften out a bit when gratitude comes into play. And my experience, my life experience, has changed me to be a little less prickly. But at the end of the day, I'm a pragmatist, and I am a like get it done kind of girl who also believes in a higher power and a universal power that brings me things. And you hear a lot of buzzwords around like conscious manifestations and things like that. And that's not what this is about for me. What this is about for me is practicing acts of kindness. So, do I journal? Do I write three things every day that I appreciate and that I am grateful for? Sometimes I do that, but sometimes it's really just about because I center my gratitude in connections and experiences with others, then my practice has to be with others, right? So, how I practice is through acts of kindness toward other people, ensuring that I am expressing my gratitude in the experience that I'm having when I'm having it with other folks, and kind of raising their consciousness of, hey, I'm grateful for you and what you're doing for me. And I'm going to write you a note about it. And I'm going to write you a text and I'm going to send you a, hey, I really value our friendship type of communications, because for me, I'm savoring, right? The conscious savoring of our experience together, and I want to thank you for it. And so that's kind of how I generally practice. I mean, I meditate and I journal and I do those things for a number of reasons. But if I want to like really pinpoint and drop a tag on exactly what I'm doing that keeps my gratitude cup refilling, it's really those experiences, connecting with others and doing kind things for other people. If I can help someone, I want to do that, and then I want to savor that experience.
And I can tell you, Nicole, as someone who's been on the receiving end of your affirmation or your thankfulness, um, it's very heartwarming because you are incredibly authentic when you choose to send a text like that or say those words in the moment. It's incredibly meaningful. And so I love that you connect what you do on a daily basis back to how you define gratitude. It's so important. It's kind of that circle of life, right? And it's yeah, that's really great. So thank you for sharing that.
I appreciate you, saying that, because sometimes hearing people's gratitude, if you're not someone who is open, or you have your own things you're working through, sometimes that can be very difficult to appreciate. So I thank you, because now we're having a gratitude moment right now, right? I'm savoring in it.
Mm-hmm. Ah, whew, see, and this is the magic. And this is truly, I think, the magic of gratitude. It's the magic of the connection, like you're talking about. It's also the magic of spreading those seeds of gratitude and what happens when you just open up and have the conversation. And, we've only been talking for a few minutes. So look what that can do and imagine that on a broader, bigger level. Ah, I love it. We're going to
How
scale
can we
this.
reverberate that into the world? How can we like lift that signal, that energy signal, to the next level and normalize this kind of conversation? You and I are both very strong women with very strong opinions, but look at us coming together and lifting each other up and warming each other's hearts. And what will come from this is someone will listen and think, these people, yes, they're longtime friends, but they really care for one another and for the world. And I think that needs to be echoed out. And if I was a big satellite, right, that's what I want to be, a big satellite that just takes in, cleans up, and then pushes back out gratitude and goodwill and kindness and love for each other, especially right now. Especially right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna just tag on that for a second. So you're saying especially right now, tell me why you say that, because I agree with you, but I'd like to hear your opinion.
Sure. Sure. The world is in a place where we are polarized, right? Even within your family, you may have some people who are far to the right on their ideals and ideas, and then some people are far to the left on their ideas, or you may be far to the left. And life is a half loaf experience. We have to come to the middle on issues across the spectrum, and listen to one another and connect authentically with one another through gratitude, so that we can fix this divide that we have. No one else is going to fix it, right? The president of the United States, the prime minister of Canada, they're not going to fix it for you. In your day to day, every day, coming to the table as your authentic self, you're going to fix it by opening up to the idea, or we're going to fix it by opening up to the idea that what we put out reverberates. And so if I can come to the table halfway and be empathetic to I may not agree with what you're saying, but I can listen and I can be empathetic and I can invoke my emotional intelligence and use a little bit of my verbal ability to have a conversation where I'm really listening to what you're saying, and finding that one common ground that we have, which oftentimes is we want to love each other, we want to be kind, and it is human nature to want to help the other person. That is human nature. So if you approach at this time in the world arguments and disagreements about politics, about everything under the sun that we're kind of pulling in different directions, morals and values and just everything. If you can come to that in the middle and bring kindness and gratitude to it, then we can start to make true change and start to close the chasm that we have happening in the world today.
I completely agree. It's like leading with gratitude, right? And it's so the old adage too, assume good intentions and really starting with that connection like you're talking about. Um, and I think the other piece to all of that is it really is about keeping that open mind. Um,
Sure.
I've had many conversations, and I'm sure you have too, where what I believe right now in this moment, I could change my mind in an hour, in a day, in a week, because new information comes into me, whatever that information is. And it's because I'm open to the opportunity that what I believe today is incorrect. And again, I think it's all from this place of healing and just going through the pandemic like we did, like we experienced in ways that many of us never had in our lifetime. I think it really raised a lot of stuff within ourselves and a lot of questions within ourselves. So having these real, authentic conversations and being able to come out of it still loving one another, still being kind to one another, and evolving as collective individuals is incredible. So thank you for sharing that with me. I that was that we went deep there for a minute. So thank you for that.
And I'm a good water treader.
Hey, that's why beach is your place, girl. I know that about you.
This is my place all day long. I wish I was there right now, in fact.
So, Nicole, I just have one last question for you. All of our authors come from different life experiences, have written about very different things within their life, all based in that gratitude experience. However, what I would love for you to do is share one golden nugget with the listeners and audience today around gratitude, whatever that nugget is. If you had to give them one, what would it be?
It's hard for me to narrow things down to one, but I think that it is, if you can enter into an experience of any kind with an open mind and look for the silver lining in the lesson, truly do that. Truly be self-aware in the moment, then you can come back and I'm going to bring it back up again, and you can savor the good stuff that happened even in the face of horrific tragedy, right? Which most of us don't experience on a day-to-day basis. So yay for that. But like, let's just, whether you're bringing it to a conversation that you're having with a loved one where you disagree and you're so vehement about it, if you can look and say, what am I supposed to be learning from this conversation right now? Oh, I'm supposed to be learning patience, or I'm supposed to be learning impulse control. And then you back off from that and you take a moment to really reflect on what just happened, and you reflect on it from the perspective of the lesson. Then you can be grateful. And then you can say, okay, I've learned something from this uncomfortable conversation, right? For me, obviously, I had this big thing happen where my child's life was in danger, and not just for a minute, but for a number of years, that just could really wear me down. And people would always say to me, I don't know how you do it, Nicole. I just don't know how you do it. You're so brave. Guess what? I wasn't brave. And I wasn't, choosing to do it. I was there and forced into it. And so my only option was to either sink in the deep end, or to spend some time thinking, what is my lesson from the fact that my child had cancer? What is the lesson I'm to take from this? And once I could focus in on, I needed to learn to give up control. I needed to learn to be less, to jump to less conclusions about other people. There were a ton of lessons. And so now when I think about that time, I think about those lessons and not the fear that I had every day for years, right? But if you could just take that and apply that piece of what's the lesson to everything from, even like, I burnt my toast and I'm angry, and I spilled my coffee on my shirt and I'm angry at myself for doing that. What's the lesson? Slow the heck down.
Mhm.
Slow down. Check the toaster setting next time. Slow down. Use a Stanley cup and don't spill on yourself. Now it becomes something that you're like, hey, I learned that. I learned that I need to check the toaster. Hey, I learned that I need to stop trying to control everything that's happening in my life. I need to bless and release some things. Right. So while the scale is different, the nugget is the same.
Mm. While the scale is different, the nugget is the same. Yes, write that down, folks. Write that down. That's a fantastic nugget. Nicole, thank you. And thank you for sharing just a snippet of who you are today with us and with the audience and those that are listening and with me and spending this time with me. Your story is inspirational. And I know that when people are reading your story, they're going to connect beyond the actual factual pieces of the experience because it's so much larger than the fact that your child had cancer. It's the story just truly will warm people's hearts. So um, thank you, and thank you for being part of this and just really just being a wonderful advocate for the world of gratitude. I appreciate you. And again, stepping into gratitude comes out on November 8th. Please read Nicole's story when it comes out. And we look forward to connecting with you. Nicole, thanks again for being here today.
Lisa, thank you. This is such an amazing opportunity to bring people into community around gratitude. And I can't thank you enough for letting me be part of that.
All right. Thanks, everybody.